We have our first story, which is from the Daily Mail. Get ready for a January lockdown. Everyone's favourite chief medical officer, Professor Chris Whitty, has been warning ministers that there could be 1 million daily COVID infections by January. And these astronomical case rates could, I stress the word could, spark staff shortages in pubs, restaurants and shops and create Pingdemic 2.0, effectively creating another lockdown. The problem I have with all this alarmism is that half the country panics, and hence there are all these queues round the blocks for booster jabs. Nobody can get test kits. The NHS is overwhelmed. And the other half no longer believes a single word that comes out of an expert's mouth because the modelling has been so out for so long. And there's no doubt that it's very virulent, at least in my little world in London at the moment. So many people I know are coming down with it. It's rife in schools. Comedians are dropping out of gigs. Gigs are being cancelled. Worst of all, my end-of-year footy night has been cancelled. But the first real-world study of the variant, not economic modelling, real-world study in South Africa, has found that Omicron is causing lower hospital admissions and that the vaccine is effective. South African doctors have accused the government in London of overreacting, and with signs that the outbreak has already peaked in South Africa, they may well just be doing that. The other sort of little suspicious thing in the whole setup is the fact that these COVID mandates only suddenly came in just as Number 10 was scandal-ridden because of all the parties, and it was perhaps a diversionary tactic. It all makes you very suspicious. But, Ian, I mean, what's your view on Omicron as our chief virologist on the show today?
My general... Thank you. I'm glad you're acknowledging my expertise.
Our chief medical expert.
Do you know what? I have no idea, but the news from South Africa in the last day or so has been pretty good. And I'm hoping, I mean, I've said it to Simon on this show before, what we want really is a highly transmissible, mild disease. And if that's what we get, that would be great. In terms of...
It's sort of a gift from the gods in terms of putting an end to it all.
Well, I think it would put an end to it all, but that's surely what a virus wants, right? It doesn't want to kill the host, does it? It wants to infect the host and keep it alive. I imagine these Delta is going, not another, I've killed another one. Oh, well, I'll move on to the next one. But obviously it's worrying to hear de facto lockdown. I also think Rona said to me before, what is a de facto lockdown? I think it's a lockdown where they don't support
to be stupid
businesses.
On air, yeah?
No, but I'm basically
Thanks,
saying...
Ian.
That's all right.
No, I don't understand the context of that.
No, but I think it's about not supporting businesses, and I think that is a problem. Our jobs, the hospitality industries, have suffered a little bit, and it'd be great if they... A little bit, and I think it'd be great if they get support, and it sounds to me like a de facto lockdown would not give them that support.
OK, so because I read de facto, I think it's de facto.
Oh, you know what? You might be right. OK, you've had more of an education than me, which is why you're sitting there, but fair enough.
But I think de facto means an effective lockdown. In other words, not a mandated lockdown, but a lockdown in practice because everyone's ill.
Therefore, no furlough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Where do you stand on this?
Well, there's also another... I know you think happy days with Omicron to some degree.
That's you're twisting what I said. But
well,
anyway.
you know, yes, I'm paraphrasing, but you feel that there could be some optimism here because of the nature of it. It's meant to be milder, and as we described the pattern with it needing hosts, etc. But there's also a concern that it does state that if people can get Delta and that, there can be some super-duper mutant strain. So there are other things to worry about. Listen, I shall be operating with caution, and I would advise other people to do the same.
Well, absolutely, a voluntarist approach.
I think if we just could do lateral flow tests, people should use them as much as possible when they're with others, and then that's where there's a chance to have a little bit more freedom.
But I want Rona Cameron to have the gig naming the strains of the virus, because instead of Delta and Omicron, I think super duper is...
super duper.
It'd be much better.
It sounds worse, doesn't it? Super duper.
I don't think it's super good or super bad.
It might be all right.